there's something that I go through, and I also believe that many other software engineers go through this too. What I'm experiencing, what I think a lot of people experience, is fear of wasted effort. This is definitely not even exclusively for software engineers, but I'm speaking about this in the context of software engineering. See, as a software engineer, things are constantly changing. The industry, the skill set, the tools we use are constantly evolving. So there's this fear that what you learn may become obsolete, and it likely will become obsolete in a lot of cases. However, if you learn this skill before it becomes obsolete, you can build a lot of cool stuff. You can make a lot of money. So as a software engineer, we're facing this issue where you almost need to be a really fast learner to constantly be keeping up with the industry and constantly be learning. You need to spend time studying fundamentals so that you can be a fast learner. And you need to be okay with the fact that you're always going to be learning, that you're going to learn something and then it will eventually become obsolete in a lot of cases. So one of the things that we as software engineers deal with is this fear of wasted effort, the fact that we might learn something and we might not get to use it. And I'm facing this right now, even though I'm technically doing something in the fundamentals realm. So right now I'm spending the last several weekends, pretty much every single weekend, what I'm doing is spending some time with LeetCode. And there's a part of me that is nervous that I'm gonna waste it, but I'm already realizing that I'm not wasting it. It's already making me better at my job. But I'm nervous that all this effort's gonna be wasted, that I'm spending, I've last several Sundays in a row, I've gotten up early and spent time doing LeetCode. And I there's a part of me that wonders, would that time be better off spent on a side project? Would that time be better off spent putting more time into my day job to try to move up the ladder faster? And the truth is, I'll never really know what is better. But what is guaranteed to be worse is for me to just always research and fall into analysis paralysis. So I want to make this video because as a software engineer, we have a lot of analytical skills, but sometimes we can use those analytical skills to keep researching and not actually making progress in the thing. So, for me, again, this I've catch myself doing this. My routine lately has been every Sunday morning I do LeetCode, but the last couple Sundays I've been questioning whether or not I should do LeetCode or I should do something else that might yield more of a return in terms of my investment of time. But I've decided to stick with LeetCode for now. I've decided that this quarter I'm really focusing on LeetCode, and that's the lesson of this video. Is I recommend, at least what I'm doing that's helping me, and I want to share here because I think it could help you too, is do the research and then draw a line in the sand. For me, I did the research and I decided that LeetCode would help me, and it has been helping me on the job. I haven't been actively interviewing at other companies, but if I get an opportunity to interview, it would help me do well in the interview. So I haven't used it there, but it has been helping on the job. I just can see my mind is thinking about performance, and I feel my coding confidence growing because LeetCode problems are harder than a lot of the things I do on my job. So it is paying dividends. Whether it's paying more dividends than extra time spent on my day job or a side project, I won't know. I don't know. But I've drawn a line in the sand. I've decided until March 31st, I'm focusing on LeetCode every single weekend. And that clarity is helping me. So I thought I'd share, so to give you guys an action item, if you're struggling with this fear of wasted effort, I would write down a few things that you think could benefit you. Maybe it's a side project, maybe it's LeetCode, maybe it's system design, maybe it's applying to a bunch of jobs. And then give yourself draw a line in the sand. Say the next step for me is going to be, it doesn't have to be 3 months like me, but maybe it's next step for me is going to be solve 20 LeetCode problems. The next step for me is going to be, I'm going to submit 100 applications. So the next step for me is going to be, I'm going to build this feature of my side project. And don't go and do more research until you complete that. It's almost as if you have a manager hat and a worker hat. and you got to sometimes put on this manager hat. I remember watching a video from this a while back. I remember hearing this somewhere, and the concept really stuck with me. Is you put on your manager hat and you say, okay, I have my manager hat on. What's the next best thing to do? And then you decide that, and then you put on your worker hat and you keep working until you complete that thing. And then only then do you put the manager hat back on. But what happens a lot of times, at least in my experience, what's happened to me many times, put on my manager hat, I start doing a few leak code, and in this case, let's use leak code as an example. I start spending a couple Sundays doing leak code, and then I start thinking, oh man, maybe I should do a side project, or maybe I should do this, or maybe I should do that. And then I instead of working and making progress, I'm researching and thinking, which is important, but again, in steps. It needs to be manager hat, actually make some progress on something, then put the manager hat on again. It can't just be manager hat, make a little bit of progress. Once it gets boring and less shiny, put the manager hat back on. So anyway, I thought I'd share this concept because I think this is really important to get down. And yeah, that's all I have for y'all today. And I'll talk to y'all in the next one.